there anyone in your life that is constantly complaining or being negative? Of course, we all do. And I have an effective way to deal with this. I have termed this the order up technique. This is a powerful technique that I teach my clients to use when a loved one or a close friend is in a reoccurring negative complaining pattern. We've all been there. We have a friend, a family member, or a partner who just can't seem to stop complaining or focusing on the negative. No matter how much you try to help them or shift the conversation, they just keep cycling back to the same old problems. It can be draining and frustrating and make you want to just avoid the person altogether. The reality is, we can't control how people think or behave, but we do have the power to control our own mindset and our reactions. We have the power to set boundaries and protect our energy. That's where the order up technique comes in. It's fun and freeing for you and gets the point to them without matching their negative energy. The basic premise of order up is this. Our words and thoughts are powerful. Whatever we continually talk about and focus on, we end up manifesting more of this in our lives. So if someone close to you is stuck in a negative pattern, they're in a low vibration, and you trying to get them to stop being negative only creates more negativity and frustration. So we're going to lovingly exit the situation while still getting our point across with just 2 little words. Order up. How it works. You will have this first conversation, which explains order up, when you and your loved one are in a good mood. This is a conversation you have when the negativity is not happening. Y'all are both in a high vibration and just talking. You could say something like, lately, I've noticed how much my thoughts impact my emotions. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to monitor the words I use and pay attention to how those words make me feel. I want to be aware and safeguard my emotional well-being. I love you so much. But when you start talking about and then insert whatever the negative subject is, I start to get sucked in and I get triggered. I'm going to try not to do that anymore. I heard this life coach share a strategy that really resonated with me, and I'm going to try it. It's called order up. When I feel myself getting triggered, when you start focusing on whatever the negative thing is, instead of me trying to talk you out of being negative or start complaining about you being negative, I'm going to say order up. Just like when you place an order for food, you get exactly what you order. I believe continually talking about a problem is essentially ordering up more of that same thing in your life. Continually talking about the negative brings up more negative. So that's what order up means. Order up is my cue to exit the conversation before I get triggered. I'm going to tell you that I love you because I do, but I just need to leave to protect my emotional state. I wanted to walk you through all this ahead of time so that you know what I'm talking about when I say order up. I'm not mad at you. I just need to make sure I don't move into a negative emotional space. I just want to ask you to support me while I'm trying to claim my peace and regulate my emotions by not getting upset with me when I say order up and then I leave. They can say whatever and y'all can have a conversation if needed. You can continue by saying, if you ever really need to find a solution to the problem, then I'm happy to help you work through the problem to find a solution, but I just don't want to be in a conversation where it is just focusing on the negative and the problem. If they ask a question, continue the conversation. If they don't, move on. Give them a hug, change the subject. You've explained, ordered up. At a later time, if the person starts down their usual negative loop of complaining, worrying, rehashing the same old problem, you simply say with a smile, order up. This is your cue that you're not going to participate in that energy anymore. You say, I love you, and you leave with a smile on your face. You're not annoyed. You're not trying to change them. You are protecting your emotional state. If you're in the car with them and you can't leave, just stop the conversation. Change the subject. If they can't let the subject go, do not engage in the conversation. You can say, remember, order up. I love you. I'm not going to participate in this conversation. look out the window, change the subject, just smile at them. Say, I love you. If they continue with a smile on your face, say, I love you. I love you. They may get mad, but my experience and my clients' experience are they don't get mad. They might get a little annoyed, but if they do get mad, you should just take a break from the conversation and revisit it when you're both in a more positive, solution-oriented mindset. You might say something like, I hear you, but I don't want to get sucked into the negative cycle again. Let's just take a breather. People really just want to be seen and heard, so lovingly acknowledge the hurt, but don't go any further in the conversation. The beauty of the order up technique is that it allows you to set healthy boundaries while still coming from a place of love and compassion. You're not abandoning the other person or cutting them off entirely. You're simply disengaging from the negativity in a kind but firm way. This is so important because, as I mentioned, we can't control how other people think or behave, but we can control our own energy and our environment. By refusing to participate in the negative cycles, you're protecting your own mental and emotional well-being. You're creating space for the other person to hopefully shift their perspective as well. Boundaries are so crucial for happiness and fulfillment. As Brené Brown says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when it's hard. When we don't set boundaries, we end up feeling resentful, exhausted, and unable to show up as our best selves. I rarely have to say order up anymore because I've set boundaries, and I've said this many times with my kids and husband. My husband catches himself now. I'll say, have fun with that, and wink. With my kids, I'll say, all right, it sounds like you're going to have tons of fun with that negative stuff. My family is so used to this type of reaction from me that they might get annoyed, but mainly they get it and they laugh or they act annoyed in a funny way. But at first, definitely stay with order up. Don't say anything else but order up, I love you, and walk away. Later, you can have some fun with it. But in the beginning, stick with order up, I love you, and walk away. This gives the other person a chance to work through this new way of you interacting with them, and it gives them space to kind of truly think about it. If you throw in all the other stuff, then they may truly get annoyed or angry. Let them have space to work it out. So the next time you find yourself in a negative cycle with a loved one, plan to explain the order up technique. Lovingly disengage. Suggest a break, and later refocus the conversation on solutions when you're both ready. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but stick with it. You're not only protecting your own energy, but you may just inspire the other person to start shifting their own mindset as well. Remember, you can't change others. They have to do the work themselves. But you can absolutely change how you respond and the energy that you bring to the relationship. I hope this technique serves you well. Remember, have a calm conversation explaining the order up technique when you're both in a good mood. And invite the other person to use the order up technique with you when you're in a negative cycle of complaining or worrying. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I would love to coach you in the comments, or you can DM me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm here to support you on your journey of creating more positivity, boundaries, and fulfillment in your life. I mentioned Brené Brown earlier, which makes me think of how Brené Brown shared something interesting after conducting research on joyful people. She found that the number one thing people who were joyful had in common was they had boundaries. I had never thought of it this way, but that totally resonated with me. That was what I had been doing. I had boundaries around the thoughts I would allow myself to think. I had boundaries around the time I spent filling myself up spiritually. The boundary was I spent time every single day filling myself up. I had boundaries around the shows I would watch. I had boundaries around who I was going to hang out with. I had boundaries around conversations I would have or even be around. I have boundaries around my routines of writing at least 5 things that I'm grateful for each night and praying before I go to bed. In the morning, I wake up and I set an intention for having a blessed day. Intentional boundaries create the life that you want to live and bring joy. If you want to learn how to connect to your joy, I invite you to go watch my YouTube video, How to Be Happy Every Day. I'll put a link below. Remember, you are blessed and you're a blessing. Let's live that life. See you in the How to Be Happy video.